For thousands of years, the Krell had ruled the dark corners of the galaxy. They were not explorers. They were hunters. Planets were not destinations. They were meals. Civilizations, no matter how advanced, fell like insects before them. They believed themselves unbeatable, untouchable. Their empire had consumed over 200 intelligent species, each one stronger than the last, but none strong enough. The Krell were tall, armored beasts with sharp minds and sharper claws. Their ships looked like flying predators, silent, fast, deadly. And then one day, they found a signal. It was weak, almost lost in the noise of the cosmos. But it was there, radio waves bouncing through space, full of strange sounds and voices. A language they didn't understand. Music, laughter, war. The signal came from a small blue planet near a yellow sun, a forgotten world, Earth. The Krell scanned the data, then laughed. Primitive, chaotic, divided, perfect prey. A Krell scout ship was sent within hours. It arrived at the edge of the solar system, hidden behind Jupiter's shadow. Silent, watching. Earth didn't see it. Their satellites were too slow, their eyes too dull. The scout moved closer. It studied Earth's defenses. There were none, no planetary shields, no orbiting weapons, just old satellites and a few weak space stations. The Krell grew confident. "This will be easy," said Commander Vrax, leader of the scout. "Another world to feed the Empire." They chose a quiet place to land. A forest in the northern mountains. Cold, remote, perfect for observing. The Krell stepped out in armor, their long limbs blending with the dark trees. Their eyes glowed green, scanning the life around them. Birds flew. Wolves watched. Nothing special. They activated their drones and began testing the air, the soil, the water. Everything was recorded, measured, and sent back to the Empire. That's when they heard it. Footsteps. Soft, careful. A heartbeat nearby. A human. Alone. Female. She was moving fast through the trees, holding something, an old rifle. The Krell read her as low threat. No armor. No tech. No backup. But she didn't run. She stopped. She looked straight at them. The Krell hesitated. Most species screamed or tried to run. But this one, she stood still, calm. Her hands didn't shake. She whispered something in her language, then fired. The bullet hit the first Krell in the eye. Chaos exploded. The scout team scattered. 2 drones went down. A second Krell charged, but stepped on a trap. A homemade mine. The explosion threw him into a tree, breaking his back. The woman vanished into the forest. Vrax roared in anger. "Find her," he ordered, "alive or dead." But the forest was hers, not theirs. One by one, the remaining Krell were hunted. She used old Earth tech, traps, fire, noise distractions. She knew the land. She didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like a ghost. When the sun rose, only 2 Krell remained. One was badly injured. Vrax, wounded and confused, sent a final message to the Empire. "Do not underestimate this planet." Before he could finish, fire rained from the trees. Flames, bullets, smoke, then silence. When the Empire received the message, it was already too late. The scout ship was destroyed. No survivors. The High Commander of the Krell Empire slammed his fist against the control panel. A single human. Impossible. But the data was clear. This woman had killed an elite Krell squad. Not with power, not with ships, with traps, with knowledge, with fury. The Krell didn't understand fear, but now something inside them began to change. Back on Earth, the woman stood alone in the forest. Her name was Kara. She was once a soldier, part of a secret unit. After her brother died in a war the world had forgotten, she disappeared into the wild. She wanted peace, solitude. But when the Krell came, she knew the truth. Earth would never be left alone. She stared at the sky that night, holding a piece of alien tech in her hand. She didn't know who they were. She didn't care. But she knew they would come back. With more. With fire. And she would be ready. In deep space, Krell warships began to move. Hundreds. Thousands. The full invasion force. The Empire had faced enemies before. None had survived. Earth would be no different, they believed. But Earth was not like the others. Humans were not like the others. They weren't the strongest. They weren't the smartest. But they were the most dangerous prey in the galaxy. Because when humans are hunted, they hunt back. Let me know when you're ready for part 2, or if you want a dramatic voiceover script for this. Thumbnail idea. Part 1 short teaser for YouTube Shorts or intro narration. You're building a killer HFY series. Let's make it cinematic. The Krell Empire moved quickly. After losing their scout team on Earth, they sent not just one ship, but 20. These weren't scouts. These were warships. Each one carried hundreds of soldiers, advanced weapons, and deadly machines designed to crush resistance. In the past, they had done this to 100 other worlds. Their process was simple: land, attack, dominate, and move on. This time, they expected the same. But Earth was not sleeping anymore. The message from the fallen scout had been intercepted, not by Earth's governments, but by a small secret group known as the Signal Division. They had been watching the skies for decades. The world thought they were just myth, ghosts in the system. But when the Krell came, the Signal Division was ready. In a hidden base deep under the Rocky Mountains, alarms echoed. Officers moved quickly, pulling up files, activating protocols that hadn't been touched since 1987. Old Cold War bunkers, hidden satellites, forgotten deep-sea stations, all came online. General Royce, an old man with sharp eyes, stood at the center of the command room. "We knew they'd come," he said quietly. "I just hoped I'd be dead before they did." His voice echoed across the room. Activate Leviathan Protocol. In the cities of Earth, nothing looked different. People continued their lives, unaware of the storm heading toward them. But under the surface, everything changed. Secret military units moved into position. Satellites were repositioned. Power grids were reinforced. Nuclear subs disappeared into the oceans. And across the world, hundreds of silent alerts were sent to deep sleep operatives. People like Kara. In the forests of Alaska, Kara received the signal through an old, dusty device hidden inside a tree. She stared at it for a long moment, then picked up her gear and vanished into the wild once more. The Krell ships entered Earth's orbit 1 week later. They cloaked themselves, moving silently through the clouds. They chose 5 cities as their first targets: New York, Delhi, Sao Paulo, Moscow, and Cape Town. At the same moment, they dropped. But Earth had seen them coming. In New York, just as Krell pods began to land, a massive EMP pulse blasted the sky. Krell machines fell dead before they touched the ground. In Moscow, plasma cannons, hidden inside old Soviet statues, fired back. In Delhi, entire buildings folded open, revealing anti-air defense towers made from reverse-engineered alien tech, recovered from a crash decades ago. Krell troops landed in Sao Paulo with confidence. But the moment they stepped into the city, the roads exploded. Human guerrilla fighters popped out from underground, armed with homemade railguns and smoke grenades. They didn't fight like soldiers, they fought like predators. The Krell had never seen this before. In space, their commander, Admiral Tyrax, shouted into the comms, "They're supposed to be primitives. Why are they fighting like this?" He received no answer, only the screams of his soldiers on the ground. Back in the Signal Division bunker, General Royce watched the battle unfold. "They thought we were weak, that we didn't notice them watching. But we've been watching too." He turned to Juno, a young tech genius who had cracked the Krell signal months ago. "Bring the mirror online." Juno nodded. In orbit above Earth, A strange-looking satellite came to life. It wasn't built by humans alone. It was a hybrid, part alien, part Earth, recovered from a different crash. For years, scientists had worked in secret to understand it. Now, it was ready. The mirror beamed a signal straight toward the lead Krell warship. At first, nothing happened. Then, panic. The Krell's systems began to fail. Their controls glitched. Their weapons powered down. And then, something even worse. The Krell began to feel fear. The signal had triggered something inside their minds, something the Krell had removed generations ago. Emotion, weakness, memory. It all came flooding back. For the first time in centuries, they remembered what it felt like to be prey. On the ground, a Krell captain fell to his knees, gasping. They're inside our heads. Humans had found a way to turn their strength against them. In a ruined street in Delhi, Kara stood over a fallen Krell warrior. She looked into his eyes. He was shaking. "We are not what you think," she said. "We are not sheep." The Krell didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind was breaking. All over the planet, similar things were happening. Krell squads began to retreat. They regrouped, confused, disoriented. Some of them turned on their own machines. Others simply froze. In space, Admiral Tyrax tried to regain control. Pull back, regroup at the outer orbit. But then, something else happened. One of their own ships exploded. Not by human weapons, but from the inside. General Royce smiled as he watched the feed. "Ah, good. Echo Black made it." Echo Black wasn't just a code. It was a unit, a special task force trained in off-world combat, recruited from the best soldiers, hackers, spies, and survivalists Earth had. They had been secretly launched days before the Krell arrived. Their mission: infiltrate a Krell ship and use their own tech against them. They had done just that. Inside the remaining Krell ships, lights turned red, doors locked, engines failed. Echo Black had uploaded a virus into the fleet. And it wasn't just any virus. It was a copy of Krell fear, multiplied 100 times, and fed back into their own neural systems. Admiral Tyrax screamed as he felt something he never had before: helplessness. And then, another human message came through, loud and clear, across every Krell screen. A woman's voice. It was Kara. "You came to hunt us. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Earth is not a farm. It's a jungle. And in this jungle, you are not the predator." The message cut out. In the next few minutes, 6 more Krell ships were destroyed. The rest began fleeing, burning engines to escape orbit. They had failed. And they knew it. The Krell had made a mistake. They had discovered humanity and regretted it instantly. In the darkness of deep space, the Krell fleet drifted like broken beasts. Their pride was shattered. Their warships, once feared across the galaxy, now limped away from Earth's orbit like wounded animals. They had lost ships, soldiers, and something even worse: their fearlessness. Earth had shown them something they had never seen before: organized resistance, ruthless tactics, human unpredictability. But it wasn't over. Not for Earth. And not for Echo Black. Inside the captured Krell battleship Quasar, the elite human unit known as Echo Black moved through the corridors like shadows. 5 members, each one trained in alien warfare, cyber sabotage, and survival. Led by Commander Arden Holt, they had a single goal: reach the Krell neural core, shut down their network, leave them blind. The walls of the ship pulsed with dark energy. The Krell didn't build with metal like humans. Their ships were alive, grown from biotech. Echo Black's equipment interfered with its senses. The ship groaned as it sensed the intruders but couldn't react fast enough. "Movement on level 4, whispered Jax, the team's scout. 2 life forms. Big ones. Neutralize or avoid," asked Rice, the heavy weapons expert. "Neutralize," Arden replied. "We can't risk backup." With silent nods, they moved. In a matter of seconds, the two Krell guards were down. No noise, no alarms, just clean efficiency. The humans moved like they'd done this before, because they had. For years, Earth's secret programs had prepared for alien contact. While governments denied it, the underground world trained, watched, and waited. Now, it was time to strike. Back on Earth, in the Signal Division's command center, General Royce stared at the satellite feed of the Krell retreat. His hand rested on the table, fingers tapping slowly. "They're not giving up," he said. "They're regrouping." Juno, the tech genius, glanced at the screen. "We've broken their pride, sir. But pride can be rebuilt. We need to hit them where it hurts." Royce nodded. And Echo Black. "They're in, almost at the neural core." Royce exhaled. "Let's hope they make it. Because if they don't, this war won't end. It'll just begin." In orbit, inside the Vossar, the team reached a vast chamber. At its center was a glowing brain-like structure, pulsing with green and black light. It wasn't just the ship's brain. It was the link to every Krell mind across the fleet. That's what made the Krell so deadly. They didn't just fight with claws and weapons. They'd fought as one. Arden approached the neural core. "It's time," he said. "Upload the package." Kira, the quiet hacker of the team, moved fast. She placed the device on the core and tapped a few keys. The device hummed. "This will scramble their link," she explained. "They'll lose coordination. Panic. Turn on each other." Jax grinned. "Beautiful." But then, the ship screamed. Not a siren. A real scream. The ship was alive, and now it knew. Doors slammed shut. Walls pulsed red. The corridors shifted shape, trying to trap the intruders. The Krell were coming. "We've got 2 minutes," Kira said. "Hold them." The team formed a circle, weapons ready. Krell soldiers burst through the walls, twisted, armored, fast. But Echo Black was faster. Bullets flew. Smoke grenades exploded. Sparks lit the air. Jax went down, a Krell claw through his side. Rice covered him, dragging him back. Arden fired a high-voltage charge, dropping 3 enemies at once. "We need 60 more seconds," Kira shouted. A Krell commander charged at her, but Kara appeared from behind a pillar and shot it clean through the head. She wasn't supposed to be there. She had snuck aboard during the chaos. "Miss me," she said with a grin. Arden didn't ask questions. "Cover Kira." Kara nodded, reloaded, and took position. Seconds later, the device beeped 3 times. "Upload complete." The Krell screamed again. But this time, it wasn't the ship. It was every Krell connected to the hive. Their minds twisted. Orders disappeared. Thoughts scattered. For the first time in centuries, they were alone in their own heads. Back on their flagship, Admiral Tyrax roared, confused and afraid. His crew ran in all directions. Officers fought each other. The network was collapsing. Their strength had become their weakness. On Earth, General Royce watched as Krell ships began drifting, firing at each other by mistake, unable to tell friend from foe. "They're breaking apart," Juno whispered. Royce leaned in. "This is our chance." He sent out a code to all Allied forces. Phase 3. Retaliate. Across the globe, humans launched their final strike. Airships rose from under the oceans. Laser platforms fired from the moon. Old nuclear bunkers came alive, and for the first time in human history, Earth fought as one. Not as countries, not as rivals, as a species. They pushed the Krell back. One ship exploded, then another, and another. The sky above Earth turned into fire. Inside the Vossar, Arden gave the order, "Evac now." They ran through the chaos, carrying the wounded. Krell chased them blindly, unable to think clearly. Kara stayed behind for a second, firing into the crowd, covering her team. Then the ship shook violently. Its core had started to break down. "Kara, now!" Arden shouted. She sprinted to the evac pod just as the floor collapsed behind her. The pod launched. Seconds later, the Vossar exploded in Earth's orbit, ripping through two nearby Krell ships like a bomb. The human team landed safely in the Atlantic Ocean, where a stealth sub picked them up. The mission was a success. That night, Earth was quiet again. Not because the war was over, but because the worst had passed. In the command room, General Royce sent one final message across the airwaves. "To any alien species listening," he said, "Earth is not a prize. We are not a harvest. We are not waiting to be saved. We are the storm. And if you come here, you better be ready to bleed." In the distance, among the stars, the Krell fleet crawled away, shattered and terrified. And humanity had just begun to fight back. The stars were silent again, but not for long. After their crushing defeat at Earth, the Krell had vanished. No signals, no ships, no noise. For weeks, humanity watched the sky, waiting for a second wave. But nothing came. Some believed the Krell were gone forever. Others knew better. Kara, sitting at the edge of a cliff in Alaska, stared at the night sky every evening. "They're not done," she whispered to herself. "Not yet." In the underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Royce wasn't celebrating either. "The Krell don't run unless they're hiding something," he said. "We need to find out what." Juno and Kira, now leading the intelligence division, had spent days digging through data Echo Black recovered from the destroyed Krell ship. Most of it was encrypted. Strange alien code. But then, something unexpected appeared. An old file hidden deep in their network, labeled only with one word in human translation. "Prototype." "What is this?" Kira asked. Juno zoomed in on the decoded image. It showed a planet. Black skies, glowing towers, a massive facility buried beneath the surface. Inside it, something was growing, a shape too large to measure. It had limbs, but no skin. It pulsed like a heart. Royce leaned closer. "This isn't a weapon." "No," Juno said. "It's worse. It's a living Krell, but not born. Built." Back on her mountain, Kara got a visit. Arden Holt, commander of Echo Black, still recovering from the mission, but standing strong. "General wants us back in space," he said. "We found something." Kara's eyes narrowed. "Another Krell world." "No, their origin point." She stood up. "Then we burn it." 2 days later, the Tempest, Earth's first interstellar warship built with both human and alien tech, left orbit with Echo Black and Kara on board. Their mission: locate the prototype planet and destroy it before the Krell could finish whatever it was they were building. The journey took less than expected. Using Krell jump coordinates, they arrived near a starless system. At its center was a cold, dark world with a strange glow beneath the surface, just like the image in the data file. But something was wrong. "No ships," Kira said. "No guards." "It's a trap," Kara said. "Or they're not ready," Arden replied. The team landed anyway. They moved through caves of black rock and tunnels lined with veins of green fluid. The deeper they went, the more alive the place felt. Pulsing walls, moving shadows. It wasn't just a base, it was something more. "This whole planet, it's alive," Rise whispered. They reached a central chamber. What they saw stopped their hearts. A massive creature, still growing, floated in a glass-like tank. It was shaped like a Krell, but different. Larger, sharper, smarter. Its brain glowed. Data on nearby screens showed plans, tests, simulations. The Krell weren't just building a warrior. They were building a god. "This thing, it's designed to control other Krell," Kira said. "Not with orders, with its mind." Juno pulled up a genetic scan. Her hands trembled. "It's not just Krell DNA," she said. "There's something else." Kara walked over, stared at the sequence. Then she froze. Human, she said. They used human DNA. Everyone went silent. Why would they do that? Rise asked. Because they're afraid, Arden said slowly. They saw what we did on Earth. We broke them. Now they want our strength for themselves. They want to become us, Kara said coldly. That's why they lost. That's why they're trying to evolve. The prototype opened one eye. It was awake. The room began to shake. Alarms rang in an alien language. The prototype moved inside its tank. It wasn't fully grown, but it was aware. It looked at the humans not with hate, but curiosity. It reached toward the glass. And then, it smiled. Nope, Rai said. We're nuking this place. Not yet. Arden said. We need proof. They downloaded everything. Blueprints, files, video logs. One log showed a Krell scientist speaking directly to the camera in their guttural tongue. The words translated slowly. We were strong, but not clever. Humanity is clever, violent, strategic. They do not fear death. They become stronger when they bleed. If we cannot destroy them, we must become them. Kara watched it in silence. They're not just enemies anymore. They're imitators. Juno's voice cracked in over the radio. Guys, we have company. Outside the cave, Krell dropships began to land. The Empire had returned, but they weren't coming to defend the base. They were coming to destroy it. They don't want us to see this, Arden said. They're going to erase their failure, Kara added. Then we beat them to it. The team planted explosives throughout the facility. Kira stayed behind at the core, making sure the files uploaded to Earth's command center. The Krell were already breaking through the outer walls. The clock was ticking. Detonators set. Rai shouted. Kira, time to move. Arden called. But Kira didn't answer. In the core chamber, Kira stared at the prototype. It had pressed its hand to the glass again. Her eyes met its eyes. And for a moment, she saw something. Not violence. Not rage. Just a question. A broken child asking, why? But it was too late. She turned and ran. The charges exploded in a wave of fire. The entire mountain shook as the humans escaped through an emergency tunnel and sprinted to their ship. Behind them, the lab collapsed. The prototype screamed, its cry echoing through the rock. Not of pain, but betrayal. The tempest took off as the mountain caved in and the planet's core began to crack. Lava rose. Fire swallowed the valley. From orbit, they watched the world fall apart. Target destroyed, Arden confirmed. Not yet, Kara whispered. It's not over. That thing, it was learning, and we showed it fear. Back on Earth, General Royce watched the data arrive. The files were clear. The Krell had tried to create a hybrid species, a new version of themselves, powered by fear, modeled after humanity. They didn't just lose a battle. They lost their identity. And now, they were changing. Royce turned to his team. We pushed them to the edge. Now we see what monsters look like when they evolve. The room went quiet. Kara, in orbit, stared at the stars again. They wanted to be gods, she said. Now they know what it costs. The galaxy had changed. Whispers traveled between stars. Alien civilizations that once feared the Krell now watched them from the shadows. The Empire was silent, wounded, not gone, but different. After their failed invasion of Earth and the destruction of their prototype, something inside them had shifted. They had tasted fear, and they hated it. On Earth, peace didn't return. Not really. The world had united to fight back, but the threat still hung in the air like a shadow. Governments rebuilt cities. Scientists studied Krell technology. Soldiers trained for a war they knew wasn't finished. And Kara, she waited. For weeks she kept her gear ready. Her rifle polished. Her tracker always on. She didn't trust silence. She knew the Krell were planning something. She could feel it in her bones. Then it happened. A signal. Not like before. This one was different. It came from the edge of the galaxy. Not an attack. Not a threat. A message. Broadcasted in multiple languages, including English. We are not Krell. Not anymore. We are Vahari. You broke us. Now we ask for a meeting. The world froze. Leaders gathered in secret rooms. Many said no. Some said yes. General Royce said only one thing. We don't trust them, but we don't ignore them either. A decision was made. A single ship would go. Not an army. A conversation. A warning. And they chose her. Kara boarded the Tempest again. But this time, she wasn't going to fight. She was going to listen. With her were Arden Holt, Reyes, Kira, and Juno, now Earth's first diplomatic unit. But none of them truly believed this would be a peaceful meeting. They prepared for war, even if they said otherwise. The destination was a dead world. No sun, no life, just rocks and dust. But something massive hovered above it. A structure the size of a moon. Half ship, half organism. Living, breathing. Kara stepped inside the docking chamber with her team. Weapons hidden but ready. A voice welcomed them. Not in sound. In thought. You taught us fear, the voice said. You showed us weakness. And we evolved. They were guided to a large chamber, where a tall figure stood in the center. It looked Krell, but not completely. Its body was smoother, its eyes calmer, its presence strange, like a beast trying to wear human skin. I am Ashtor, it said, first of the Vahari. Arden stepped forward. What do you want? Ashtor tilted its head. To speak, to understand. Before we were Krell, we consumed, we conquered. But Earth changed us. Your resistance infected our minds. Your courage became our curse. Juno whispered, they're becoming like us. No, Ashtor replied. We are becoming something new. Kara didn't trust it. Not yet. You tried to copy us, create something that looked like a human. Ashtor nodded. The prototype. We failed. It was born in fear. That was your gift to us. And now, Kara asked, you want peace? Ashtor's eyes glowed softly. No, we want a choice. For thousands of years, we followed instinct. Now, we want the freedom to break it. You killed our empire, but in doing so, you gave us something else. Self-awareness. The chamber went silent. Kira stepped forward. Why call us here? Ashtor replied, because one of our kind still follows the old way. One Krell commander refused the evolution. He calls himself Draction, and he has taken a fleet of old Krell loyalists. He plans to finish what was started. He's coming to Earth, Kara said. Yes, Ashtor replied. To burn it. To prove that fear is weakness, not strength. And if he succeeds, all evolution ends. Reyes clenched his fists. So what do you want from us? Help us stop him, said Ashtor. Together. Kara looked at her team. Then at Ashtor. She didn't like it. But she knew what was coming. And Earth couldn't face it alone. Back on Earth, General Royce listened to Kara's report. We're joining with them, he asked. We don't have a choice, she said. Draction is coming. And he's bringing everything. Royce nodded slowly. Then we prepare. And they did. For 7 days, Earth built the largest defense force in human history. Vahari ships arrived through silent wormholes, joining Earth's orbit like shadows from a forgotten age. Side by side, former enemies stood ready. Then the sky darkened. Draction came with fire. 10,000 ships, old Krell war machines, planet burners, biocruisers. The final battle had begun. Above Earth, space tore apart. Lasers burned through the void. Ships exploded in waves. Echo Black returned to the field, leading sabotage missions deep into Draxian's lines. Juno hacked their frequencies. Kira unleashed viral codes. Rise and Arden fought in zero gravity, side by side with Vahari warriors. But it wasn't enough. Draxian himself descended, his warship larger than anything Earth had seen. It launched a weapon toward the planet, a plasma core big enough to destroy an entire continent. Only one person could stop it. Kara. She boarded a stealth drop pod, launched straight into Draxian's flagship, alone. Inside, she fought through beasts and fire. Every hallway was death, but she pushed forward, remembering every scream from the forests, every fallen soldier from Earth, every child who never got to grow up. She found Draxian at the core, standing like a dark god. "You're just human," he growled. "Exactly," she said. "That's why I'm still here." They fought. Claw against steel. Fire against fury. Draxian was stronger, but Kara was smarter. She lured him toward the plasma core, planted a charge. As he struck her down, the timer hit 0. The explosion ripped through the ship. Kara didn't escape, but Earth did. Draxian was gone, and the war was over. In the days that followed, the galaxy went quiet again, but not from fear, from respect. Humanity had done the impossible, faced a predator empire, survived, fought back, and forced evolution. On Earth, a monument stood in the center of New Earth Command, a single line written across the stone. We were hunted, but we became the hunters, and somewhere in the stars, a new age began. Not of peace, but of balance. Because now, the galaxy knew. You don't mess with humanity. Not anymore. That's the end of your epic 5-part HFY saga. Let me know if you want. All 5 parts as a complete script. Voiceover-friendly format. Teasers for each part. A full YouTube description plus title plus tags. Thumbnail text ideas. You've just created a binge-worthy sci-fi series that hits hard emotionally and visually. Want to build the next one together?